What's up, Dialed fam? Today I'm going to be critiquing Demi Vollering's strength workout. She just posted this to Instagram, and although this isn't the first time I've seen it, so I'm not going to act surprised or anything, there's a lot that we can talk about in this video that I think will actually help you with your own strength training sessions, so let's dive in. If we haven't met, my name is Derek Teal. I've been a full-time personal trainer since 2013 and have been exclusively working with cyclists through Dialed Health since 2019. I have an active community of over 1,000 members, the Dialed Fam, using my subscription platform, and I currently work one-on-one with some of the top athletes in the world. So hopefully that validates whatever it is I'm about to say. All right, so we are starting with an elevated pigeon. That's a great start. This stretch is perfect for hitting the outside of your upper thigh and doing it from that box instead of on the floor like you'd see in a yoga class or a lot of people do. I think that this helps you hit that spot a little easier. You have more leverage on it, and it also corrects one of the big mistakes I see with people, which is just laying over on the side of their leg and kind of letting their hips drop over, which doesn't allow you to get the stretch that you need. So it's a really good variation that I'd recommend if you are having a hard time relieving the upper outside of your leg. Now, the focus face. This is really good. But it could also not do that much for you if you aren't trying. A classic example, a lot of true mobility exercises like this where you're contracting muscles to stretch other muscles. So you're stretching and activating at the same time, and you being able to control that range of motion is the true definition of mobility, opposed to just your passive range of motion, which is like if you're laying and somebody just came and grabbed your leg and tested your hamstring flexibility, you're totally lifeless and they're doing all the work for you. That's passive flexibility. Mobility is what you can control. And all the muscles in your hips are incredibly important for injury prevention and stability on the bike. And this pretty much hits all of them. And, a lot of people do this exercise from the ground and they call it a fire hydrant because you look like you're a dog who's about to take a leak on a fire hydrant. And it's a good variation, but I like this standing version. And if you're curious about why her hand's on the wall, there's a couple things. So your hand on the wall is going to stabilize you so you can focus on what you're really trying to do, which is improve your mobility in your hip. And it's also on the right side, probably to stop her from wanting to compensate by leaning over, because if you just leaned over to the side, your leg would go higher. So that's a thing that people will do to try and make this like quote unquote better when it really defeats the purpose. So the wall placement is actually crucial for this being quality, along with just your effort level. You got to try on this one for it to work, but if you do, very, very, very good exercise for cyclists. Got the band around the feet, internal rotation. Your hip is a ball and socket joint. It goes a lot of ways, and it it swings a lot of ways. Don't forget about internal rotation. I like to see this. This is a detail that makes a difference for your longevity. And the double band walk. You know what? When I first saw this, I actually thought it was a little overkill because the band tension is the tension, and where you put it on your leg determines how hard it feels. So if it's lower on your leg, like your foot or your ankles, that same band is gonna feel harder than if it's above your knees. So I'm like, why not just use a heavier band or something like that? But then I realized, I was like, you know what? One of the biggest mistakes people make on this exercise is to externally rotate their feet as they step out. So to stop that band around the feet would probably be a good cue for the client to not essentially let their feet come out. And it's also kind of stopping it from happening. So this could just be a really experienced trainer who's like, you know what, we're going to do it perfect. And I want to give her less cues and have her less to think about, opposed to just stepping to the side and really targeting her glute medius, which is what you want to do in this exercise. So they're going out on the floor where the real weights are at. No core activation or upper body. I'm not as surprised about the upper body, even though I think you should be doing it. Right now, there's less of a question of whether or not a cyclist should strength train, at least for lower body. And most agree with core, which is why I'm surprised I don't see more core in this, at least preparation-wise. But the thing that will change is seeing cyclists do upper body work. As you get toward the spectrum of like cross-country World Cup racing for mountain bikes, it becomes more obvious, like, yeah, I need to do push-ups because like I just did a 6-foot drop in my actual race every lap, for an hour while I'm redlined. So I need to have that upper body strength. The thing is, do you need that as much for road cycling? No, you don't. If you have it, it can really get you out of trouble, no doubt. You don't see a pothole or you have like a really long descent. There's fatigue that you get from your upper body during long road rides, even though it's just kind of sitting there, it's still holding up your body. You're also stabilizing. You're transmitting force from the bars through your core to your leg, back and forth. A lot of that efficiency, a lot of the comfort that you have in your upper body. So again, no neck pain, no elbow pain, no shoulder pain, no back pain. A lot of those can be addressed with just a little bit of upper body movements. That's it. Just like really just a little bit. Just corrective exercise, go through your movement patterns. It's kind of a miss to not be doing it. And if you are strength training yourself at least 2 days per week, probably 2 days per week, if your volume's adequate on the bike, then make sure you're doing core and upper body as well. I just have to get that 2 cents out there. I promise you, you're gonna see it more. Get ahead of the curve. That was great form. Really textbook from the bar position to the range of motion. And she even mentions that she's focused on form and not weight as much. And on that exercise is really important because you can't just plant your foot and just grind through it. You're on a slider. So if something goes wrong or you overload the bar or something like that, it's not going to be good for you. So very good exercise. Definitely go light on it. The hip flexor machine. This is a perfect example of when I think you should use a machine. When you want to isolate a muscle group and you have it there and it puts you in the perfect position to just push and hit that muscle group and you don't have to set up 4 different bands. I mean, use the machine if you have it. I think that that's a really great idea when you're just trying to target your hip flexors like she's obviously trying to do, because you can recreate this with free weights, but sometimes it's just kind of a cluster to try and set up and do. And the single leg, that was actually surprising form. Really great exercise. You can do it with both legs, but I've been taught and I've always preached that as you bring the heels back toward your butt, you need to raise your hips, because if you don't, you're just gonna lose all the hamstring tension. And if you raise your hips as you pull your heels back, it keeps the tension in the hamstrings, which is what you're trying to use. So seeing her leave her hips low seems like kind of a miss. And that could be because it's the single leg version. Like, it's hard to stabilize, and there's a lot of load in your leg with just doing, a single leg version. So I think for that one, if I was her trainer, I would be like, yo, we're either cutting this and going to the bilateral version because you can't lift your hips up, or this is just not a good fit right now. There's all sorts of other things that you can do. So that one that was like surprising. I'd almost like to hear an explanation for that one. Back to the bar, pretty much seeing all single leg. Really good form with the hips. A lot of times when people do single leg Romanian deadlifts, you'll notice them open their hips, and keeping them closed is very important to use the muscles that you want in your lower body. But you have to be strong, you have to be stable, and to be honest, people tend to just want to do heavier weight and not focus on their form. And a lot of people are even unaware that their hips are open during an exercise like this. So if you're not confident in that, I would definitely film yourself and see if your hips are as level as Demi's. She's spot on perfect here. Single leg Bulgarian split squat. It's really nice to have that pad she's using. Doing it from a bench works great, but when you use one of those pads, you're like, oh, this is even better. It feels more stable, it's more comfortable. You can try and recreate it by putting a pad on a bar bell and racking it low, but it will move. It's just not the same, so it's a cool variation. The unilateral leg press. If you have access to a unilateral leg press, I would always choose the unilateral leg press over the bilateral leg press. Why? Because even if you want to push both legs at the same time, you can do it, but because the plates are separate, you'll know right away whether or not you have an imbalance. You know, it's easy to push 65% with one leg and 35% with another, if my math is right, and be unaware of it because the plate is moving. So having them separate, I think, is a really good option. I would use that if you have it. That's a sick machine. Again, it's just putting you in the perfect position for the exercise. Like, you can do that on a bench, and if you only have a bench and a barbell or something like that, I wouldn't feel like you're not doing it as effectively. But again, there's just machines out there like that where it's just designed for it and it's easy to use, so you might as well use it. And that's exactly what we see here with the bent knee calf raise or soleus calf raise. So if you're curious about why she's doing it from a bent knee opposed to a straight leg, it's because when you're in this position, you're working your soleus, which is the muscle that's like kind of around your Achilles below your main calf muscle, your gastrocnemius, which is what you train if your leg was straight doing a calf raise. And I think the goal here is to just have a little bit more stability pushing on the pedals because you're constantly in this bent knee position. So adding this exercise in can be really beneficial, if anything, for injury prevention. And we have some Morton. Very good taste there. And then we have a car ad. Nice little vlog addition to get some more brands in there. Yeah, I gotta say, it's a really well done workout, and I give her props for showing it so transparently. She nailed it. I think her trainer deserves an applause, with the exception of that stability ball hamstring curl. I think that was a little questionable. There's a couple positions with bar that could be tuned up, but man, I think that if you guys did this exact workout, you would feel a lot better on the bike. You'd feel more stable and more comfortable, if anything, but most likely you'd be able to push out a little bit more power as well. And what I would just love to see from it is more core, some upper body. You guys, where you at? I know some of you are doing it. We need to bring it to the lights, people, okay? So I hope you found this helpful. Really, the goal with a critique is not to be judgmental or talk down on anybody, but it's to talk about it the same way we would, you know, if I saw you at the coffee shop and you're like, hey, did you see that Demi Vollering strength video? This is what I would say to you. And so that's why these videos are created the way that they are. And I hope that it benefits you. Seriously, if you do need strength training programs, I have them built so that you don't have to think about what to do, and you can have structure. It can be periodized and clear and easy to follow through the Train Heroic app. So go to my website, dialedhealth.com. You can sign up for Train Heroic there, and let me know in the comments what you would like me to critique next. I'll see you guys next time.